Okay, we're sort of back. We're getting there. Now, how do I start? We found a location to be able to open up a bakery. And over the last few years, a lot of people have contributed towards seeing that come to fruition. And that's a very close thing at this stage. So what I'm asking everybody is to dig into their pockets and possibly throw a donation or two forward, because we have actually found a rather large building in which to settle into and give ourselves a headquarters or a home at which we can receive mail and present from and run a retail business out of. And that will allow us to cook food and do a bakery and a small little cafe and open up a gallery of all of my work in relation to my photography over the last 25 years. So there's a historical record of my work, but also have a very large historical record of artifacts that I have picked up along the way over the last 20 years that can be displayed in glass cabinets and such. So to all of those that put a little bit of coin towards seeing a bakery come to fruition, that coin was never spent. It is still sitting there waiting for that very purpose. And we're about halfway towards sealing a building at which to operate out of, and then need to obviously fit out that building to have tables and chairs and counter and some retail environment fit out. So at this point, legally we will be able to stand and have a location at which to receive all of our mail, and physically we would be able to represent ourselves in a building and demonstrate and show off that very history itself. Like literally display it in glass cabinets and the like. There is also the ability to put together a small reference library of books and reading materials that could be read inside the shop instead of taking them away from the shop, which wouldn't be allowed. But there is a large reference material library that can be put together, which people could visit and go through and use in their legal fight. And this is a key point here in that bringing everything under one roof so that we can show off very clearly the historical record and demonstrate very clearly who we are as a people in our artifacts and our very own history. It's in that we hope that people will visit and have coffee and buy a cake and possibly buy a picture and enjoy some knowledge and some history and really gather the thoughts in relation to how to move forward as a people, a body of people that have been undermined and really driven into poverty by banking and elite powers that you're starting to notice operating outside of the federal branches of your government. And this is how we can address this, by putting a street address on the table allows us to connect all of those services to that address, and therefore then use that address to stand on in relation to all legal matters going forward. And this is a very, very helpful thing to have when you're talking about receiving mail from not only people, but the state, federal and international governments around the world that might want to know the standing that has been defined on the Supreme Court record. So we look forward to opening something finally, and this is our hope in that we can. We're halfway there in our funds to be able to do so, and hope that the rest of you see this as a benefit to everyone, being able to provide sort of location at which you can enjoy on holidays, at which you can come and use as a kind of information centre, not only for your holiday trip around the far north Queensland, but also in relation to who you are as a people. That they sell the Aboriginal identity to everyone at the demise of who you are as the Australian Imperial Crown and who your forefathers were as Australian Imperial Forces. And there is a direct history linking that to the Cape here, and we will discuss that as we talk about Barmaga and what I experienced travelling all the way to the tip of the Cape. Now, the Cape itself is going to change in the future as the development road turns into a highway and access into the very tip becomes an actual tarred road. Your experiences for driving around this country are going to disappear very, very quickly once that PDR has been finished and mining companies start mining Aboriginal corporations that have been set up all across the Cape. And this is what we want to address here by establishing something on the ground that would then support all of you in your fight towards clarity in what this government has actually done in undermining your constitution and undermining your very land titles in the state of Queensland, as well as other states. So, thank you everybody for listening. Thank you everybody for finally starting to understand that this has been a legal fight while you have all been playing politics. And now knowing that the legal aspects of this have been defined on the Supreme Court record, with actual war crimes being defined as committed by New South Wales Police, New South Wales Magistrates Courts, New South Wales Corrective Services, and the New South Wales Forensic Mental Health. Now, we won't go down that path here, but you can all see that legally we have come to a head wherein the government is unable to deny a true line of authority in the Constitution, at which it is an administrator under rules of usufruct under the Hague Conventions. And this is where we thank you very much for all of your support over the years, and now bring all of those finances to the foreground in a hope that we can establish an actual physical location at which you can all enjoy. And we're going to set it up in far north Queensland so that when you come to enjoy it, you can enjoy the auspices of what far north Queensland offers you. And you can start to see how this federal government has attempted to undermine those very resources at which you are no longer going to be able to enjoy, given that they have been taken over by corporate entities all across the Cape of Queensland. So I won't say much more on this video because we're sort of driving towards opening a bakery. So jump over to my support page and show us the support and the love that you have over the last decade, and we will continue for another decade as we move forward and establish a legal standing before the Senate and the House of Representatives and address the Federal Executive Council and the undermining of the very executive branches of our Constitution. I will remind everybody that it is our Australian Imperial Crown that retains that Constitution. It is not the administering government's Constitution. They are attempting to undermine our executive branch out of the Constitution to remove the Australian Imperial Crown as the lawful and true line of authority in that Constitution. And as you know, over the last decade, we have demonstrated very clearly that the Parliament does not have the executive or prerogative right to be able to undermine a constitution at which they administer and do not own. So, as I said, don't want to go too much into the law on this. I'm more driving towards looking at opening a location at which funds have already been donated towards and are now being looked at being used for that specific purpose. We will have a cafe bakery. We will have a gallery and an archive of artifacts and information, as well as a library of books available for people to read while they enjoy a coffee and a cake. And that's the main driving factor of this video. So if you wish to show your support, jump over to my website stephenspires.com and then hit the support link. There are crypto options, there are bank options, there are mailing options, and everything is going to go towards this location at which we will set up a shop front at which you can all come and visit.